like everyone else, I bet you're feeling the impacts from inflation, higher gas prices, and really just generally some concern around the economy. We recently actually released some new test plan templates within UserTesting that enables our customers to better understand what their customers need, expect, what their perceptions are around inflation, and even new products or offerings that they might be, putting out into the market. And we have a segment on our show called the Insight segment, and we actually used one of those templates to ask our contributors at UserTesting, who happen to be moms, how inflation is affecting them. And so I'd love for us to watch this together, listen together, and talk about what we heard.
Just the inflation on gas alone affects my day-to-day going to and from work, and just I have 3 children, feeding my children. Like, it's been tough. Like, just the cost of food and gas, like, not on housing, my rent's gone up like so much, taxes have gone up so much. It's been really, really trying, and we've been struggling to get by for the first time in 5 years. So it's been rough.
It just has affected my day-to-day life extremely, because I feel like I'm, living like from paycheck to paycheck, which, nobody wants to do.
Everything that we're seeing right now is affecting everybody, but the food prices, the gas prices are the top ones that I'm most concerned about.
My shopping is now looking more at what's on sale, what is available, because there is less available, and what can I stretch further.
Because I think if you can get more bang for your buck, especially now, I think that's more enticing for people, especially for me.
When it comes to shopping habits, as far as going into physical stores, we are now doing more online to save on the gas costs and stuff. So we're not going into physical stores as much as we used to go into the physical store. So that's how it's affected that and how we shop. So it's affected how we shop more and the amount of we shop.
I would still buy the things that I would need, of course, but I just try to cut down on some of the things that I want versus what I need. So like the things I actually need, I would actually, get. But I wouldn't splurge as much as I used to.
Like, I love going to Target and getting books. I'm going to have to do that less. So it is going to impact how I engage or do business with Target, because I'm not able to do that as much. I'm not able to do that with Amazon as much. I'm not able to go out and try new stores that I haven't been able to try yet, because I'm going to have to be careful with what I'm spending and how I'm doing it.
Because some companies will take advantage of this and hijack the process way more than what they should. And this, to me, is a definite no-no for a company.
I just want to feel like that business or organization is for me and is actually showing ways that they are concerned for our economy and what's going on these days. So I just feel like what would make me more likely to engage with them is that showing that they care, honestly.
So I thought that was really impactful. I was fascinated actually by the person who mentioned that they're now using all online sources to get their food and groceries because they don't want to pay for the gas to get to and from the store. I didn't even go there. I was actually quite surprised by that, but I guess thinking on it sounds pretty straightforward. As a dad and a co-founder yourself, how did these messages resonate with you?
Oh yeah, that's definitely very impactful. And personally, yeah. So I'm a co-founder. At the same time, I have 2 daughters, 4 and 2, and inflation has definitely affected us all in different ways. For me, from a personal side of things, gas is probably the most impactful. Like, I think we have kind of reduced our travel plans for the summer, and also in general, the rents are going up. The childcare is going up, and day to day, in addition to the basic needs, I think everything is going up. And it especially impacts us as a family because, as a founder of a startup, you don't take a lot of cash out of the company. So you basically, it's all about equity here. But then now we are forced to like decide like how much we really, want to take out of the company because everything is very expensive. Um, but also I mean, if you take a step back, I mean, it's basically like we just went from a period of excess to a sudden shock. And there was a time just 6 months ago when Fed was printing money and there was so much capital and liquidity in the market. Startups were getting funded at ridiculous valuations, and then just in like in 6 months, like boom, like now the liquidity is gone, the inflation is up, the war is such a big wild card, nobody knows what's going to happen. There's no more subsidies, so it's more than like a slow increase in inflation or something. It's not like this is something which people expected. I remember like me talking to my co-founder way back in December saying, hey, I know things are heated up right now, but I don't think anything's going to crash in the next maybe couple of years. Maybe it's like 2024 might be a recession, but like boom, in just Q1 of this year, we had this like a huge crash, not just in the markets, but primarily driven by both oil prices and also food prices. So yeah, this is definitely a huge shock. But having said that, I do think by the end of the year or early next year, we would be in a different place. Unfortunately, that's going to come at a cost. I mean, if you see what's happening today, the inventories are increasing, the demand is definitely decreasing. You can see the people who said that they're not even trying to go to the retail store, so retail is going to get crushed. And then that which means they're going to make less money, which means unemployment is going to go up. So eventually, inflation, I think, will come on, which will be controlled, but it's going to come at a cost. To especially, it's going to hurt the people who, are on the lower income side of things, and that's just the reality we are in. I mean, I think that we are already in the recession, but yeah, that's a sad reality.
Yeah, I think that's right, Karthik. You could certainly also sort of feel it in those answers. I mean, there were a couple folks that sort of paused before they started speaking. It sort of really conveyed that impact. I thought it was interesting. One of the participants in the video talked about sort of observing how companies also react. I mean, she sort of had this feeling of like, we're having to deal with this. One participant talked how they might shop more online because they don't want to spend the money to drive to the store. So that was interesting. And then another participant said, the contributor talked about how, some companies will use this as an excuse to raise their prices too much. And I thought that was really interesting, just sort of, maybe obvious, but to really hear consumers talking about the impact to their families, but then also sort of how they're observing what brands and companies and stores that they work with do. That sort of, to me, really highlighted, regardless of what these companies decide to do, how they communicate those decisions will be really important. Like I know for a while airlines at one point were communicating it's the higher fuel prices is why we're doing this. And as a consumer, you can sort of agree or disagree, but at least you had some context as to why they're doing that. So I thought that was really interesting as well, just sort of the idea of how are you engaging your customer on such a challenging issue, I thought was sort of fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see not just the customers, you can see like even in the valley, the companies are really like trimming the workforce. There are so many layoffs here happening. So in the short term, I think there is going to be a lot of pain. And yeah, it's very important that you communicate that well to the customers. And also what's happening is like everyone, like for example, I'm in the startup plan, all our investors, Sequoia, YC, everyone's sending out memos saying, hey, you need to survive this, you need to cut. Even if you have money in the bank, you need to be conservative. So there's almost like a group thinking going on where everyone is like, even if, for example, if there's a company doing well and they don't cut, people will be like questioning. It's like, hey, what are you doing? We are in a recession, so you need to cut. So I think the short term, there's going to be a ton of pain and they really have to manage the communication right, unfortunately. But again, I guess what's probably going to happen in the longer term is like, let's say when they all increase the prices, the demand is going to significantly go down. and they're all going to be stuck with, if you just talk about Walmart and Target, as an example, you can see that I think that they have one of the highest increases in their inventories in decades. So eventually they have to cut down the prices to, kind of get rid of that. So I think it's going to get better, but it's going to get worse first. So I think it's going to get worse. And then, everyone's going to go through this almost like the trough and go through a round of suffering, and then it's going to get better. So in the next few months, how people manage the perceptions, how people communicate, how the companies can communicate to their customers, and also how the customers can actually deal with this. Especially families, for example, is going to be definitely a challenging time.